I paid my parents' rent for 4 years until they told me to grow up on my birthday. No one came to my birthday party, not even a text. Just a message from my mom that shattered everything. No one's coming. Grow up. That was the last straw. I stopped being their ATM, reclaimed my life, and left them in the dust of their own silence. If you've ever been the responsible one in a toxic family, hit like, subscribe for more stories, and drop a comment if this hit home. Hi, I'm Jordan, 28, and last month I threw a birthday party for the first time in 8 years. But before the cake even hit the table, my mom sent a message that turned the whole celebration into a funeral. Not for the party. For the illusion of family I'd been propping up like a broken porch swing. It was 11:04 a.m. A group chat ping, family thread. You know, the one with the obligatory baby photos, vague prayer requests, and guilt-laced requests for money. I was already sipping my overpriced birthday latte when the message came through. 5 words. That's all it took. No one's coming. Grow up. Not even a happy birthday before it. No explanation, no emoji. Just a wrecking ball launched into my morning like she was checking off a grocery list. I read it twice, blinked, read it again. And then, I did something I don't usually do. I replied. 1 word. Understood. Then I opened my banking app and made the quietest, most satisfying click of my life. Cancel recurring payment, $2,300 monthly rent. A 4-year financial leash, cut clean. Next morning, I drove to their house. Not to argue, not to confront, just to retrieve what was mine. The gray Honda parked in their driveway, the one they'd been driving for 2 years. My name on the lease. 1 click of the key fob, and it was mine again. I didn't knock. I didn't wave. I just watched it unlock and drove away, windows down, silence loud. Later that day, I called the bank. Every credit card tied to my name, shut off. All of them. Grocery runs, gas charges, late-night Amazon binges I never knew about. Done. And not because I was angry. No, I was done. Done being a paycheck with a face. Done being the background character in a family where I was only cast when bills were due or guilt was needed. The silence afterward wasn't confusion. It was shock. The kind of shock that doesn't scream or plead. It just sits there, heavy, cold, real. They thought I'd sulk, then cave, that I'd send a sad little just kidding text like always. But this time wasn't about feelings. This time was math. It was boundaries. It was receipts. Because that group chat message. It wasn't the first cut. It was the last. And once I finally put the knife down, I realized I'd been bleeding for years. You know what's funny? After I canceled the rent, took the car, and shut off their credit cards, no one said anything. Not right away. Not a call, not a text. Not even one of those accidental voice messages my mom sends when she wants me to hear her cry, but still claim it wasn't on purpose. Instead, the group chat, same one where my birthday was publicly stomped on, went dead quiet. Total blackout. Until my aunt, who hadn't replied to my Happy Mother's Day text in 2 years, heart reacted to Mom's grow up message like she was applauding it. Then Emma, my sister, the family's freeloading prodigy, commented with a single cake emoji, like it was a joke, like I wasn't a person. Dad? He forwarded a meme. It was a clown. Big red nose, rainbow wig, huge shoes. Caption: Guess who's turning 12 again? I stared at my phone like it might catch fire. And the worst part? I wasn't even hurt. Not the kind of hurt that stings. It was this weird, clear feeling. Like a curtain finally pulling back to show what was always there. They didn't forget my birthday. They just didn't care. And they didn't want me to care either. They wanted me quiet, grateful, available. I paid their rent for 4 years. 4. Not because they asked nicely, not because they were in crisis, but because when I got my first stable IT job at 24, Mom called and said, "It's just temporary. You're the only one with a steady income. We gave you everything. Now it's your turn." I believed her, like an idiot. That temporary lasted 49 months, 14 days, and too many overdraft fees. I paid for groceries, gas, the plumber, the broken water heater, Mom's back injections, Emma's flat tire, the cat's vet bills, and every single time I said no or even hesitated, I'd get guilt-tripped into saying yes later. It was never help. It was obligation. And Emma? Let me tell you about Emma. She drives a car I bought. Yes, bought. $4,800 cash after she just needed something small to get to work. Except she doesn't work. She's freelancing, which is code for posting selfies from hotels she didn't pay for with captions like, "So blessed. Grateful for those who believe in me." She didn't even tag me. I checked. My parents call her a late bloomer. They say I'm the one built for pressure. And you know what? They're right. I am. Because they built me that way. They carved that pressure into my spine, one guilt trip at a time. But even pressure breaks. And mine had just snapped. Last Thanksgiving was the turning point. Not the dramatic kind with yelling or slammed doors. No, this one was quiet, cold, surgical. I drove 5 hours with a trunk full of groceries, 2 bottles of decent wine, and a pumpkin pie I baked myself. I even wrapped a scarf for Emma. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Some part of me still believed if I just showed up enough, paid enough, proved myself enough, they'd finally let me in. I knocked. Mom opened the door like she was surprised, like she forgot the sound of my knock. "Oh, you came?" she said, then turned over her shoulder and yelled, "Emma, tell Josh to hide the gifts. Your brother's here." I blinked. "Who's Josh?" She smiled. "Emma's boyfriend. They've been staying with us for a bit. Josh had my old room. They gave it to him. No one told me. I slept on the couch that night. No blanket, no pillow, just silence and the draft from a window that wouldn't shut right. The same one I paid to have fixed last year. At dinner, Dad raised his wine glass for a toast. I braced myself. He said, "Let's hear it for the man who pays the bills but still can't hold down a girlfriend." Laughter from everyone, even Emma. Especially Emma. I didn't speak, just took a sip of wine, then washed the dishes after, because that's what I'd been trained to do. Smile, be useful, don't make it weird. The next week, my coworker pulled up an Explore page post on Instagram and asked, "Isn't this your sister?" It was a cabin in the mountains, a family trip, matching beanies, mugs, smiles. Mom, Dad, Emma, Josh. I wasn't invited. The mug Emma held had a custom print. Best daughter ever. The same week they forgot to transfer rent money. Again. I paid it anyway. But I didn't forget. Then came the Amazon wish list incident. I'd made one. Just practical stuff. Socks, shampoo, a new phone charger. I shared it in the group chat because Emma once got a $300 spa voucher from Dad for her birthday. Instead, Dad posted a screenshot of my list with the caption, "Look at this grown man asking for lotion and socks. LOL. Ashley, my cousin, responded with a photo of toilet paper. "Here you go, champ." Emma chimed in. "He probably expects us to gift wrap it too." They were laughing, out loud, in public, at me. So I started saving everything. Every transfer, every receipt, every cruel comment. Because I finally understood. This wasn't neglect, this was sport, and I was done playing the punching bag. I didn't blow up. Not right away. That's what they expected. That's what they were waiting for, some big tantrum they could call dramatic, unstable, ungrateful. Instead, I got quiet. Not submissive quiet, calculating quiet. The kind that's more dangerous than yelling, the kind that means you're building something. And I was. I started a folder on my desktop labeled Truth. Inside, I dropped every screenshot, bank statement, Venmo transaction, credit alert, and group chat message I could find. I pulled my phone records. I downloaded voicemails. I even transcribed the one where Mom told me to grow up and pay your sister's tuition before she ends up like you. The real kicker. I found an email where Emma listed me as a reference on a fake job application. When I asked her about it, she said, "It's not like they're going to call you." The deeper I dug, the worse it got. My mom opened a Target card using my social. I only found out when I got denied for a limit increase on a card I actually owned. When I confronted her, she said, "It's not a big deal. You weren't using it." I told her it was illegal. She snapped, "Don't threaten me, Mr. It Man. You'd be nothing without this family." That stuck, because the thing was, I was something. In spite of them, not because of them. Then came Emma's final masterpiece. I found out she told her friends I was on the spectrum. Not true, not even hinted, but just believable enough to pass. She said it made me easier to explain, and I still didn't react. Not publicly. I just paid the bills, worked late, smiled during meetings, and I kept building, because when you build in silence, your explosion becomes their earthquake. It came on my next birthday, 2 weeks after the grow-up text. No apology, no gifts, no messages, except one. From Emma. "Hey, Mom says to come by tonight. Family dinner." I left her on read. 10 minutes later, Dad called. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're trying to move forward." That was their favorite phrase. Move forward. Translation: forget we did anything. Pretend it never happened. Reset the scoreboard without changing the rules. This time, I said yes. But I didn't come alone. I brought my laptop, a USB drive, and Jake, Emma's ex-boyfriend, the one she nearly destroyed. The night of the family dinner, I showed up at 6 sharp. The house looked the same: faded porch, dented mailbox, the flag still stuck halfway up. I stood there for a second, duffel bag over my shoulder, Jake beside me. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His silence was practiced, just like mine. Mom opened the door like I was a pizza delivery guy. "Oh good, you're here," she said, like I hadn't missed every birthday, every Christmas, every smile for years. She reached to hug me. I let her. Dad handed me a beer. "Good to see you, son," he said, and I could hear it, that strain in his voice. The one that said he was trying real hard to pretend this was normal. Emma was already seated at the table. Her eyes scanned Jake like he was just another inconvenience. She smirked and said, "Wow, you really brought backup?" I didn't respond, just nodded, then sat at the head of the table. They talked about healing, about mistakes, about forgiveness like it was a joint savings account I'd accidentally overdrawn. Then Mom said it. "You're still part of this family, but you've made mistakes too." That was the detonator. I reached into my bag and pulled out my laptop, placed it in the center of the table. The screen lit up. One folder, labeled Truth. Dad scoffed. "What is this, homework?" I clicked the first file. A voicemail from Mom, her voice sharp and familiar. "You're pathetic. Grow up and pay your sister's tuition before she ends up like you." Next, an audio message. Emma's voice. "Just let him pay. It makes him feel useful." Then screenshots, hundreds. Bank transfers, credit card charges, rent receipts. Instagram stories where Emma posted spa selfies with captions like, "Self-care day. Love when life just provides." My name was tagged. In the transaction history, not the post. Then I handed them a USB stick. "Plug it into the TV," I said. Dad did, reluctantly. The screen flickered, then displayed a loan application. His name, primary borrower. My name, co-signer, no signature, no permission. "You used my social," I said. "You put me on the line for your debt." He opened his mouth to argue. "It's already reported," I cut in. "The bank froze the account pending fraud investigation. You'll get the letter next week." Mom's hand flew to her chest. "You can't do this to us." Emma laughed. "You're so dramatic. What's next? You going to sue us?" I smiled. "No, but he is." That's when Jake stood up and dropped a black folder on the table. He sat across from Emma, locked eyes with her. You want to tell them or should I? She froze. Why are you here? He opened the folder. Inside, screenshots of fake texts she wrote to frame him. Her own notes, handwritten, about how to emotionally manipulate him before the breakup. A transcript of voice memos she edited to sound like him yelling. Mom gasped. Dad went pale. Emma jumped up. You're insane, both of you. This is harassment. Jake didn't flinch. You're not the victim. You're the villain. He walked out. I followed. At the door, I turned and looked at all of them, frozen, silent, sinking. You wanted me quiet. You wanted me grateful. But now I write the script. Then I left. Behind me, shouting, breaking glass, Mom screaming Emma's name, Dad yelling at me to fix it. But I didn't turn around. Because when you drop the truth like a bomb, you don't wait to watch the fire. You already know they're standing in it. The next morning, I woke up to 243 notifications. Texts, emails, calls, DMs, all from people I hadn't spoken to in months, some years. But none of them said happy birthday. None of them asked how I was. They all wanted one thing, damage control. That's when I knew I had to go public. I didn't want pity. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the story to stop being theirs. I wanted my name back from their group chat punchlines and manipulations. So I took the entire truth folder and made one simple post. Title: When Family Treats You Like an ATM with a Heartbeat. I didn't rant. I didn't whine. I wrote facts, cold, clear, dated. I embedded screenshots, audio clips, emails, the forged loan application, the voicemail from my mother, Emma's notes and messages, scrubbed of identifying details, but specific enough to be unmistakable. At the end, I added one line. I'm not angry, I'm not sad, I'm just done pretending this is what family looks like. Then I hit post and turned off my phone. By noon, it was viral, not headline viral, but people I went to high school with are resharing it viral. Thousands of shares, comments from strangers. This is my life too, thank you for writing it. You just described my entire childhood. You're not alone, you're free. Then came the people who knew my family. A girl I barely remembered messaged me, your sister was always cruel. I thought I was crazy. Thank you for confirming I wasn't. And then the expected. The blowback. My aunt, the one who heart-reacted to Mom's insult, posted on Facebook, air your dirty laundry in private. Family matters don't belong online. No likes. Emma commented, some people forget who raised them. I laughed. Then Dad went live on Facebook. From his garage. He sat in a folding chair, surrounded by empties, looked directly into his phone, and said, my son is being manipulated. He's mentally unstable. He doesn't know what he's saying. We love him. In the comments, one of his old golf buddies replied, didn't you say you used his social for that loan? Dad liked the comment. Big mistake, because I had video proof, a clip from 3 years ago. Him on the couch, beer in hand, telling Emma, it's fine, I used his social, he owes us, he wouldn't be alive without us. I posted it in the comment thread. No caption, just the date. Then I logged off again. But behind the scenes, I wasn't just burning the old story, I was building something new. That week, I launched a YouTube channel. One video, a straight-to-camera piece, no frills, no names. Title: When Helping Becomes Enabling. I said what most of us are never allowed to say out loud. You can love people and still leave them. You can be generous and still be exploited. And when someone shows you what they think of you, believe them. It got 400,000 views in 72 hours. I got invited to speak on a podcast for adult children of narcissistic families. Then another. Then a third. Then a book publisher reached out. It wasn't fame. It was freedom. Finally. And I didn't stop, because the moment you realize your story belongs to you, and you alone, you don't give it back. Not for guilt, not for blood, not for anything. After the video blew up and the podcast invites started rolling in, something shifted. Not just in how people saw me, but in how I saw myself. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was creating. Designing something better. Not a revenge arc, a rebirth. The week after my first video hit 500,000 views, I moved. Quietly. No post, no farewell tour, no clues. Just a downtown condo, 10th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, smart locks, new furniture, no keys under doormats. Purchased in full, under a legal trust. A new name on the deed. A legal firewall between me and everything I left behind. My phone buzzed non-stop that first week. Calls from family, unknown numbers, DMs disguised as apologies. Emma posted vague quotes about forgiveness. My mom uploaded old family photos with captions like, "Some people forget who raised them." Dad tried emailing again. Subject line, "Let's go on Dr. Phil." Attached, a picture of me as a kid, crying at Chuck E. Cheese, while he smiled at the camera with a beer in hand. He added, "This could be good for both of us." I stared at that photo for a long time, not because it made me sad, because it was the most honest picture we ever took. Me, crying, him, grinning. The perfect metaphor. I saved it, not as a keepsake, but a reminder. They don't want healing, they want a platform, so I made my own, bigger, quieter, safer. I launched Understood Consulting, named after the only word I texted my mother on my last birthday. I bought the domain, designed the logo, filed the LLC, trademarked the name. One of the first things I printed was a plaque for my new office. "We don't rebuild what broke you, we build what frees you." I hung it under warm light, brushed steel, centered perfectly, and beneath it, a second smaller sign I had custom made. "Guess who's not turning 12 again?" No one gets to mock my growth anymore, least of all the people who tried to stunt it. People found me, not my family, strangers. People who'd been silent for years, carrying shame they didn't earn. They watched the videos, read the post, booked sessions. One woman cried during our first call and whispered, "I didn't think people like you existed." I told her the truth. Neither did I. Not until I stopped asking for permission to exist. I never posted my new address, never updated my number, never dropped hints, because peace isn't something you post about. It's something you protect. My mother mailed one last letter to my P.O. box. Thick stationery, red ink, slanted cursive that looked like it was choking every word. "You used to be our sweet boy. I don't know who this bitter man is. You humiliated us. Maybe one day you'll grow up. I'm praying for you." I flipped it over. Wrote 3 words in Sharpie. "Keep your prayers." Tossed it in the trash. 2 days later, a final message from Emma. No greeting. No emojis. Just, "I hope you never have kids. You'd be a terrible father." I smiled. Not because it was clever, but because it was pathetic. Their last move was the same as their first. Shame. But shame only works if you still need approval. I didn't. It's been over a year now. No calls, no check-ins, no Christmas cards. They still post, still hint, still rewrite history like it's a group project they're editing in real time. I let them. Because I'm not in their group anymore, I dropped the class. I don't argue with ghosts. I don't haunt myself with their stories. I walk past the mirror some nights, catch my reflection, and for the first time, it doesn't flinch. Older, quieter, clearer, not broken, not bitter. Just unchained. Because I didn't just leave a toxic family. I outgrew them, and there's no coming back from that, ever.